Tom, it's really good to see you. We have some big news today. The Secure Act 2.0 finally passes. I feel like we've been talking about it for a long time. And so we're going to break down the big takeaways, including some unique opportunities and some changes to tax planning. So again, we've talked about Secure Act before. We've heard about it for a long time. What's new here and who's affected?
Well, the Secure Act 2.0, I would think probably touches almost everybody. There's a little bit of something in there for pretty much anybody who's thinking, talking about retirement or college planning. People who need distributions, need money today for various reasons. So I think it's pretty much going to touch everybody or affect everybody out there today.
All right. And you said one of the biggest takeaways you think is the new RMD Age Table. What do we need to know here?
Right. So first, let's remember that whenever the government makes big changes to things, it's typically not for our benefit. It's for the government.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll start with that premise. A few years ago, they changed the RMD table from 70 and a half to 72. This time around, they're changing it up to age 73 when you have to start taking the required minimum distributions. They're also talking about at some point moving it up to 75. Again, it's not really to our benefit for it. The thought process for the government behind that is the longer they can wait to force people to take money out, the hopefully more money they have in those retirement accounts, which means larger distributions, which means more tax money to the government. That's their whole thought process behind it.
Mm-hmm. And then also, when we delay taking those RMDs, that leaves us with a larger account balance. And Congress stripped the lifetime stretch IRA rules, so now almost all beneficiaries must take out the entire balance within 10 years. That is quite the tax burden for them.
Absolutely. That's a big change that came about a couple of years ago when they got rid of the stretch IRA, the 10-year rule. Now, one of the things that has occurred in 2022, the IRS did give a break to people who inherited beneficiary IRAs last year, which is because there was so much confusion around the new ruling. People missed their required minimum distribution, or some people missed required minimum distributions. So the government has said, okay, look, if you missed it, we're not going to charge you that 50% penalty. However, you still have to take it. Now, part of the Secure Act 2.0 is that they reduced that required minimum distribution penalty also from a 50% penalty down to a 25% penalty. So that was a big deal too. But again, the government really wants and needs you to take those distributions, and so that was the main focus of reducing a stretch lifetime RMD from a beneficiary IRA down to just that 10-year window.
Right, because they need their tax money. All right, next on your list, 401k opportunities. What's the big takeaway here?
In my mind, the big takeaway is that you can put more money into the Roth side of a 401k or 403b or any other type of government-sponsored retirement plan. In the past, a match contribution from a corporation or from your business had to go into a traditional side. Now, people can elect to have their match contribution from their companies go into the Roth side. Again, it's a big deal. Ed Slott calls all of this the Rothification of government retirement plans, right? The government is giving you a greater opportunity to create Roth type money. Again, the reason Roth contributions, whether it's a traditional Roth account or a Roth 401k, is that you're paying tax on those dollars today. And the government just spent $1.9 trillion back in December that it doesn't have. And so this is a way to start collecting some of the money to pay for those costs.
Right. Good for the government to get the money, but also good for you because we are in a historically low tax rate right now. So paying your taxes now certainly has its benefits.
Absolutely. In the long run, it should have a great effect on the general public, for sure.
And the next one here, 529 plans. So this is kind of a heads up for all maybe young parents. What do we need to know here?
The big takeaway here is that any unused dollars in a 529 plan can be converted over to a Roth IRA.
Right.
That's a big deal because young parents like yourself, if they had money left over, in a 529 and they wanted to try to move that money or use that money, it would be treated like an IRA. So if they ended up taking money out of those accounts, they could be penalized. What the government is saying is, okay, hey, look, if you have money left over, all we want you to do is pay tax on any of the interest that you earned, and you can roll it over into a Roth IRA and help maybe fast forward or regenerate your retirement planning.
I feel like Roth is definitely on our bingo card today, Tom. I think we're saying we're going to get bingo real soon.
It's a big deal, right? It really is a big deal for folks. And it's something that everyone should be taking advantage of, I think.
Next on your list here, distribution exceptions.
Right. So the government added a few. Disaster relief. Let me correct myself. The 10% penalty-free early distributions, right? So there are some exceptions. The government added a couple, disaster relief being one, domestic abuse being another, terminal illness and emergency needs are two other exceptions. Another big deal that they are allowing is, which they don't do with any other penalty-free distribution exceptions, are you can actually repay a distribution in the case where you took money out for a qualified birth or an adoption. So that's a big deal.
Right. Well, I mean, this just kind of scrapes the surface of the 90 new laws that were introduced. So
right.
I think that it's important, though, to ask Tom, what do we need to do right now, and how do we incorporate any of these changes into tax planning?
Well, I think the big takeaways are, one, revisit your 401k plans or your retirement plans and see if the Rothification makes sense. Talk to your financial advisors, CPAs, whomever you're leaning on or utilizing for this type of planning, and say, hey, look, the rules have changed. What should I be looking forward to do this year and in the coming years? Another thing you can do is January 23rd, Ed Slott is going to be on our Retire Happy podcast speaking about the Secure Act 2.0. And so once we get that out on YouTube and on our website, you can absolutely listen to that and see what Ed Slott has to say.
Good. I hope it's a call-in show because I have a lot of questions.
Send us your questions ahead of time.
Yeah, well, that's why I have you, Tommy. So this is really helpful. If somebody, though, does have more questions about, setting up those Roths or anything that we've covered today, what's the best way to reach you?
TJ O'Connell at internationalfinancial.com. That's my direct email. And then the direct line to the office is 973-394-0623.
All right, Tom, thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Great to see you. Happy New Year.